Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm like just so far behind. Here I am. Started the stream. I thought that I could take a mouthful of waffle and swallow it before the intro was done. I was so wrong. Good morning, Pinky. How are you doing? All right. So we got some stuff going on. Come to the charts. Yesterday. Yesterday, kind of a little bit of back and forth. There was a fairly negative overnight action, and actually the initial opening was negative as well. But then they recovered that, and we had a pretty strong rally throughout the day, ending with the FANG stocks going. And then after those went, like, man, Amazon's earnings per share was like 10 times what the market thought it would be. They all shot up. We came up here to the highs. We've been down since. I actually, not that this is something that I would always do and is kind of a little an experiment on a sim trade. I went short here up around 32.71. It's going okay. But there was just so much buying on that. I knew that it was really unlikely for them to hold that price for very long. They were already like overbought. Well, I don't want to say overbought. I think that the buying was totally justified, but it was just everybody was long, right? So kind of one way. Coming over into the Treasuries, the Treasuries ended up taking a pretty good run up yesterday as well, and in the overnight session have continued on their gains. You can see a little bit of flattening on the curve. Oil took a pretty good dive yesterday. It's just kind of consolidating today. Gold recovering again and briefly touching 2000s. And the dollar continues its decline now below 93, 92.96 right now exactly, and very, very correlated with, well, I don't want to say correlated, but the euro is the biggest beneficiary of that. All right. So coming over here, we've got a bunch of numbers coming out here in about 30 seconds. So we're going to try and manage this, but we're going to get PPI, Core PCE Price Index, personal spending, personal income, all of these numbers. So a big slew of stuff that's going to come in. I'm interested over here in my treasuries. That spending number is going to be important. All right. Okay, here comes. Not much of a reaction yet. I'm getting the numbers. Okay, personal spending is 5.6 versus 5.5, so pretty close. Personal income is negative 1.1 versus an expected negative 5. That's not good. PPI is spot 4 versus an estimated spot 5, so the inflation is a little low still. Core PCE price index spot 2 versus an expected spot 2. Employment costs is 0.8. Let's see here. Did I miss anything on here that was important? PCE price index spot 8, employment cost spot 5 versus expected spot 6. So it's a little mixed, but overall, it doesn't look too encouraging, but it's mostly in line. Canadian GDP was higher than expected, 4 spot 5 versus 3 spot 5. I want to come and look at it over here, like in Forex Factory, because it's kind of hard to read over here. So much going on. Yeah, we got it all. So really, the personal spending was up higher than expected. Income was less than expected. I think that the income matters more at this point. And of course, we know that number is going to be even worse now because there will be a decline from unemployment. Okay. Yeah, market pretty quiet on that news, actually. Now we have Chicago PMI. Remember, the Chicago PMI number gets released early, but that will be after the E-mini opens. So, I was hoping for I wasn't expecting fireworks or anything, but I was hoping that we would at least move a little bit. I do think though, well, we're kind of in the middle right now, so the most likely scenario right now is that equities continue to slide down. Mm-mm. Man, I responded to a tweet by Cat Turd and got like 37 likes on it. I've never had that much interaction from Twitter, and it's kind of weird because I didn't think that I said anything all that crazy. Some of them really don't like the masks, so. The Spanish flu in 1918, the U.S. had mask mandates and fines for people not wearing them. That's interesting. No way I'm going to wear goggles. That is just silly. Oh my gosh, you're right. I just misspelled it. Ah, you're funny. Good catch. Didn't even realize. I rely on spell checker too much. Also, another thing I want to point out is that my metrics suggest that there's a lot of long inventory out there. Iowa teachers write and send their own obituaries to governor ahead of fall. Come on. You're not going to die. Hey, wow, Anthony. Thank you very much.
Anthony Monroe says €10.99 from Anthony Monroe. Hello, Seth. A little contribution. Have a good day, winking face.
Thank you very much. I take it that you've been doing well in the crypto space, then, huh? They've had a pretty good run up here lately in cryptocurrencies, haven't they? I don't know how sustainable it is, but it is going. It is going.
Anthony Monroe says I am having fun.
I'm having fun. Good. Well, that's good. That's That's funny that you put it that way. Oh man. Well, I don't know. So I'm just noticing that the E-mini has slipped a little bit. Treasuries just lost 04 as well. Probably the bid up there at 04 was a little, probably not a huge deal. So interesting that I'm already seeing the spreading going on. So we're still seeing the buying in the short end and the selling in the long end. Oh man, it is windy out there. I have the day off and I was planning on going out there and like painting and stuff. But if it's still this windy when we're done, that's not going to happen. It might just be though the canyon. It might just be canyon winds, so shouldn't freak too much out.
Anthony Monroe says in crypto, we never get bored, always some dramas, I love it.
Yeah, well, there's definitely drama in the the what do we call it? Ethereum space, right? Ethereum. So you have to take out some of these earlier.
Anthony Monroe says specially with DeFi. It's going to be wonderful and bloody this month.
Oh, you think so?
Winston's mom says good morning, Speculator Seth and good morning, Anthony Monroe huzzah. For your contribution to the channel. Is everyone ready for the weekend?
I don't know. I still want to get through today, I guess. Okay, let's save that. Well, I have to say
Anthony
the
Monroe
treasuries in
says many
particular.
pumps soon in new DeFi coins.
Oh,
Winking
you
face.
think so? Oh, wait, what's this that I'm seeing here on Twitter? Alwyn Dershowitz. There are no new accusations against me in the documents I got unsealed. All her accusations were made in suits she filed years ago. They were false then and now, as shown by her
Anthony
emails and
Monroe says
manuscript that prove I
definitely.
never met her. Her lawyers admit she was wrong about me and others, such as Al and Tipper Gore. That's Alan Dershowitz. So I was reading from people that there was Alan. That Alan was in the
Winston's mom says
Maxwell
what's on your mind?
stuff.
You look pensive when you should look dollarson.
And I'm not sure. I don't understand what's going on. Because Alan is, his explanation of things seems pretty sensical. I mean, it seems to make sense. But then all of the conspiracy theory kind of people are, oh, he's scared. So I'm like, I don't know what to. I guess it doesn't really matter to me. He's just he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the law, you know? That's all. Oh, Trump defends tweet about moving election by casting doubt on results. So I think he said that I don't want it to be delayed, right?
Anthony Monroe says hello Winstanzamon winking face.
Here we go. I don't want to delay, but I want to have the election, Trump said during a press briefing at the White House. But I also don't want to have to wait for 3 months and then find out that the ballots are all missing and the election doesn't mean anything. That's what's going to happen. That's common sense. Did you know that if they don't have certified election results by the time that the president is to be inaugurated, that the House of Representatives basically picks the president? Did you know? Just saying. Smart people know what he added. Stupid people may not know it. He's right. Listen, he's right. There is a serious issue looming with mail-in ballots, and the politicians don't want to say anything, but they know that they're going to have to do something about it. And Donald Trump is forcing them to act sooner. So they're upset about that. So these states don't have, because it takes days for the late mail-in ballots to come in, and then you have to look through them all, and they don't have the infrastructure to look through them all, so you can't come in and like verify the signatures and verify that they're done right. In some of these elections, a significant portion of the ballots get rejected. So that in itself of itself is a problem, that like you could send in your ballot wrong and it gets rejected. But then it's also like, well, if they're supposed to be rejected, but then you just don't even check them, how are you preventing fraud of any kind? The whole situation, I think, is a little crazy. That they're really gonna, that people are just like full bore ahead with mail-in ballots, because these states that haven't been doing mail-in ballots aren't, well, nobody's done this many mail-in ballots, so they're not going to be able to handle it. It's going to be a disaster on election night.
Sunday Driver says foreign bad actors could flood ballots and destroy the election.
Possibly. It is possible, I think. The thing is that I don't think that you can just like print out any old ballot. There are safety measures built into them to prevent you from just like straight up printing them. And remind you that basically every county is going to have a different ballot. But could they go into a few key places? Probably. Or even worse, you have people on that are doing the counting that do shady stuff. You know?
Winston's mom says I did not know that. Wow, interesting. I'll have to read more about this. I think the mail-in ballot scare is the new illegal migrant caravan scare.
Yeah.
Casting doubt on the elections is wrong. Winston's mom says shouldn't we have planned and prepared for this sort of thing, back in the days of Gore and the hanging Chad? Why now?
Well, and that's kind of the problem, Win, is that with the way that the mail-in ballots are done, so regular elections, we've been using like machines and stuff that count it as you go. This is about like getting ballots in the mail. Somebody has to open them up. Then you feed them into a machine or whatever. You have to verify their signature. The issue here is that what they're trying to do with, if everybody did it, is impossible. What they're trying to do, if everybody did it, it's impossible to get the result in a reasonable amount of time. It just from waiting for people that mailed it that day for it to come in. Just from that, it's kind of crazy. So it's kind of like they can prepare all they want, but then the further issue is that, you know, we're doing an election a few months from now, and that's just not enough time to build up the infrastructure to come even close to doing what they're trying to accomplish, right? They're gonna, I mean, the long and short of it is that they're gonna have to keep polling places open on election day. If my area closes polling locations because of coronavirus, I'm gonna be very upset. I don't think that they should, if people are scared and you want to give them an alternative, that's okay. But they need to leave the polling locations open on election day. Uh,
Winston's mom says, do you think the post office should be removed and privatization allowed to take its place?
I think that privatization in the post office has already largely happened. I don't know. It's not something that I really concern myself too much about. I know that a lot of Democrats are super, super concerned about it. But I mean, I think that in the larger scheme of things, he's kind of making a good point. He's like, how is it that it's too dangerous for us to have our kids go to school? It's too dangerous for us to even open businesses back up, but it's not too dangerous that we can have an election. You know, just saying. I don't think you can have it both ways. And I think that that's what he's trying to say, and I think he's making a good point in that respect. And to the point that election day will be a disaster if things stay the way that they are, I agree.
Uzi Knesset says, lot of Democrat ops in the post office winking face.
Winking face. It's the whole, just like we predicted, everybody was triggered by that tweet yesterday. But he said, I don't want to delay the election, right? So that makes it much more, now he's being a little bit more explicit about what he really thinks. And so this whole, he's a wannabe dictator is a little silly.
Winston's mom says, KR with or without a space? I can't tell. I understand the UK pegs 6 weeks for the elections and then on election day, everyone is off. I like the idea of only discussing our elections for 6 weeks.
Yeah. So this is another interesting one. I don't like the idea of having election day be over a period of time. I don't like that idea. I am always going to go at the last second. Like, I don't go until late in the day because you never know what's going to happen. Right? What if something huge comes out, changes your mind that day? I think in a situation like that, you want to give yourself the maximum time to make your decision, to allow for late breaking information. Now, could it be a holiday? Sure, we could make it a holiday, but I don't think that would really change a whole lot. The only reason that they want it to be a holiday is so that the Democrat operatives can get more people to go out and round up ballots. Yeah, election day should only be one day, and it should be in person with an ID. Exactly. It should be. That's what I think. I refuse to do. What I will do, they'll give me the mail-in ballot. What I will fill out my mail-in ballot and drive it down there. There's no way I'm putting that in the mail. Are you kidding me? Okay, Uzi, what? Good question.
Uzi Knesset says, hey, could you give me a quick rundown of bid max versus offer max and resting orders?
Okay. So bid max, offer max is basically the maximum amount of liquidity at any given time. So like here on my Jigsaw DOM, there's this number down at the bottom that's constantly changing. It is basically what is the maximum that this number gets during the time period, and what is the maximum that this number gets during the time period, and then the difference between the two. That's bid max versus offer max. Resting orders is for each level, what is the minimum amount that was placed there, excluding like the first two levels. and then you add the minimum of each of one of those up, and you compare the two of them. So they seem to I created that, and they seem to be giving pretty similar results. So this was, because we got this whole thing from Hyperscalper on the Futures IO board. And I was like, when he was talking about the volume level 2 analysis, and he was saying we should be able to get a much more clear idea of when they're ready to flip it around based on the level 2. And my take, just from looking at it so far, is no, that it doesn't really. So I have, there's another one in there called level 2 stats or something like that. And that will show you a DOM with, instead of just getting, this one current level 2 price, it will show you the maximum that it was and the minimum that it was for the bar. Or maybe it doesn't reset. Maybe it doesn't reset. I digress. Fauci addresses why Black Americans are disproportionately affected by coronavirus. I was hearing from people that it had to do that the virus actually interacted with the melanin in your skin, but nothing about it in that one. Oh, that's interesting. This guy posted inflation adjusted education spending per student, and just shown that in inflation adjusted terms that it continues going up. Anyways, if you have any ideas on what to do with the level 2s, you could try them. Because I haven't really come on one that I think is like really. There is definitely a tendency for them to go like, if this is up, then they tend to go up. And you can see price comes down a little bit and everybody turns down, right? But the way that it goes, it doesn't look very incredibly predictive to me, right? It looks like it's just like all of the retail traders trying to flip around based on whether it went up or down last. But not predictive.
Uzi Knesset says I am gonna sit down this weekend and wrap my head around building that level 2 data and code, and maybe I'll come up with something. I have a feeling level 2 is a bit too fleeting to be as meaningful.
Yeah.
Uzi Knesset says as we want it to be.
Yeah. Of all of the level 2 things that I've done, the most useful one to me was the market depth tape. Like when I see that there are larger changes in the tape, then something more significant is happening. And hearing that click sound is useful. But I'm going to bet you if I made a robot that came in and said, okay, when this super smoother line starts going down, I'm going to go short, I don't think it would make money. Wouldn't be fast enough. But hopefully I get some rhythmic data soon and we can get into that. Because I wonder what happens. So we've done the analysis with only limit orders. So now what would happen if we do some analysis in some other ways? Like, let's assume that every market order is an entry, and then try and match those up with limit orders on the other side, or something like that, or losses going the other way. Every market order is an entry, and then if we see market orders going the other way at a price lower, where they would lose money, and count how much they're losing. See if what that shows us. Forex Live says details on U.S. stimulus package shows sides struggling to find common ground, and it has the pictures of all of them with masks on. So if you were a politician and you had to wear a mask, what kind of a mask would you wear? I think I would wear a white one. I think I would wear one that looks as medical as possible. These black ones, I'm not feeling the black ones. Not feeling it. Like it's supposed to be part of your suit? No. I'm not feeling it. That, or I would choose something
Uzi
like
Knesset says
incredibly
I'd go nuts
unprofessional.
in full-on mop suit all the time.
The whole thing with Fauci and Birx talking about goggles and face shields, so ridiculous, guys. I just can't even. Professor Carol Sikora, who is apparently a well-respected doctor in the UK. In England, there are currently 835 coronavirus patients in a hospital, down from 17,000 with no sign of any increase. 70 patients in mechanical ventilation beds. It was nearly 3,000. Up to now, these new cases are translating into more hospitalizations. That's good news. It will.
Uzi Knesset says, dude, I'll guarantee, 100%, that the spread comes more from people not washing their hands than anything else.
Well, yes and no. Because I think that if you want to protect yourself, then washing your hands is probably the primary thing. But if you want to prevent spreading it, wearing a mask is going to prevent you from spreading it. Because what it is
Uzi Knesset says everyone is so hyper-focused on masks they forgot about their hands.
What happens is you sneeze, the water droplets go into the air, they land on a surface, you touch the surface, and then you don't wash your hands, and then you touch your face. That's how it happens for sure. So, to prevent yourself from getting it, wash your hands.
Bio Trader Wayne says I think 70% come from money handling at cash registers.
That could be. I don't know if there's a whole lot of money at cash registers these days, though. A lot of places won't even take cash now, actually. Okay, you mean he's seeing a little bit deeper of a drop?
Uzi Knesset says I literally can't remember the last time, before or after COVID, that someone sneezed or coughed close enough to me for me to get sick.
Oh yeah, like even if you're wearing the mask, you've been out in public and you're like you feel that little itch, in your throat, like you're not sick, but you just want to clear your throat, or you want to sneeze, because when I go outside and it's bright, I always sneeze at least once, and you've got to hold it in. You can't sneeze around other people, so it'll freak them out, right? Scott Adams, anyone planning to later criticize Trump on handling the pandemic should pick their champion comparison country leader now. Let's see if you can stick with that. Yep. Agree. One of the things that happens is people will constantly switch what they're looking
Uzi
at.
Knesset says I was in a customer's house and was chewing gum under my mask and swallowed some spit. Lol. Choked a bit. Awkward lol.
And then I got you. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, jeez. And of course, they would be like super triggered by it too, because, you've probably been in a number of people's houses. Chevron shares slide after worst quarterly loss in history.
Uzi Knesset says I said to her, I swear I am not sick, I'm just an idiot, lol.
That's funny, man.
Uzi Knesset says damn it, I have Chevron Holdings.
Oh.
Sunday driver says when I sneeze, I aim my face upward to deliver maximum aerosol spray across the room for at least 100 feet. It's my superpower.
The arguments over masks seem so silly to me. Like, they literally...
Uzi Knesset says LMAO.
Like there's been studies specifically with coronavirus about how much transmission and everything that showed that the masks reduce the transmission. The issue here really is, it's like, okay, by how much? So they've done a pretty good job of showing that if both of you wear masks and you're 6 feet apart, the chances of you spreading it are pretty much zero. Like, and I think it shows. The rate of transmission with a virus that is so incredibly contagious, and its transmission rate is below 1 in many places, and where it is growing really strongly is just a little bit above 1. That's an impressive feat.
Uzi Knesset says I think people are less mad about wearing masks to prevent the spread and more mad about being mandated to wear them.
You're right, 100%. Because if they can force you to wear a mask, what else can they force you to do? Okay, so then we know what the next step is, right? They're going to force you to get the vaccine. Or they'll say, if you don't get the vaccine, then you can't come into the store, right? Which again is a spot
Uzi
where
Knesset says I think most people wear their masks willingly.
I think that most Americans are going to say you should get the vaccine. Okay. But that is definitely a spot where I say I don't think that you should force people to get the vaccine. Because what essentially what you're now saying is that if it is in the public health interest, we can force you to do anything. Yeah, that's not true. So where's the limit? Can we force you to get a microchip embedded in you? Hell no. Not okay. But that's what they could push it to. That's the logical conclusion.
Sunday driver says here's how it is spreading. Infected unmasked people who are shedding the disease in an indoor environment that recirculates air is the best way to spread it.
Probably. Well, in New York, it was the subways, right? Ugh. Of course it's the subways. Jake Sherman tweets, Republicans are angry this morning. They're saying it's
Uzi
Democrats who are
Knesset
blocking
says
the
sick
extension
tubes.
on unemployment. True. They did block a 1-week patch yesterday. Meadows just now. They've made 0 offers in 3 days. We should talk about this because nobody's really talking about it. Isn't it odd? Have you noticed? There was a day, was it Monday or was it last week, when McConnell talked about, we're not going to negotiate over the tort protections, and the market sold really, really hard on that. Do you guys remember that?
Sunday driver says buy stock in companies that specialize on manufacturing virus-killing devices that install on existing HVAC systems.
UV killer, UV ray device. So anyways, this week, not only does the market so far not made a significant move on the fact that we're not going to get a bill this week, and straight up, we're not going to get a bill this week. Extremely unlikely that we get a bill. Listen, the Republicans put out a bill that said we will extend the unemployment benefits for 1 week, and Democrats said no. Just the clean, we're going to extend the unemployment, and it's going to be for a week. And the Democrats said no. Can you believe that? We're not going to get a bill. Not anytime soon. And nobody's talking about this. Because remember, we talked about, who do you blame? How do you blame people? Because you can say, well, we wanted this and they wanted this, and neither side caved, and it's fine. But if the Republicans put up a clean extension for a week and the Democrats shot it down, there is no way to argue that. Democrats are preventing it from going through. And that is going, I don't see how you argue otherwise. They're going to try and say that it's not, but, ooh, and you're not seeing the fight yet, are you?
Sunday Driver says if we had a healthy political situation, no one would be concerned with delaying the election for a year. Really, it only makes sense.
I say, in my opinion, there should be no situation disastrous enough to delay an election. I think. And that you should keep it that people have to vote in person on the day of the election. And yeah, I think it's pretty simple. Pretty simple that way. Mm. Anyways, why are they not? Why are we going to see a big fight politically
JB
today?
says amen, Seth. Bio
get it.
Trader Wayne says, what's your thoughts on gold? I have huge positions in gold stocks for past few weeks.
Okay, so I was seeing that Goldman Sachs was calling for a price target of like 2,300. It's been moving really good. No question about it.
Sunday Driver says Hong Kong delayed election, and no one cares.
Mm.
JB
It's going
says
up.
gold and gold stocks are different beasts altogether.
Yeah, but the issue in gold is that on a short-term trading basis, it tends to go down when you don't want it to, right? When everything's going down, gold is down too. So it's not a safety play. So why right to me the play doesn't necessarily from a day trading perspective and from a hedging perspective, the play doesn't make sense. Why not just get into stocks, and then if you're afraid the stocks are going to go down, hedge yourself against the downside risk with options instead of going into gold, because gold doesn't protect you when things are going bad. You see what I mean? But on a longer term perspective, it keeps going up, and so it is a good investment, no question about it. And I think that it's probably going to continue to go that way, at least until the dollar finds a floor.
Sunday Driver says gold is on fire.
And who knows? Well, when you look at the history of the dollar, we could move down into the 70 area and we would still be within the normal range for the past 10 years. I'm a little bit skeptical, though, about how far the euro can rise against the dollar. So the euro has had its own issues. The Treasuries really dumped there quickly, didn't they? What is the meaning of that?
Sunday Driver says on market days where everything is going down, gold stocks go down due to sympathy. Long trends, however, and they move in multiples to gold price moves.
It's not sympathy. It's not sympathy. So
Uzi Knesset says ZB dumped all the way back to break even.
it went way back, yeah. It went all the way to the stop out / break even spot for the buyer, which is and just kind of out of nowhere. It's really quite odd. I mean, it's into yesterday's range. Remember that I had that order at 28.5 that we could never get to fill.
Sunday Driver says if gold does what I think, and heads to $5,000 in a few years, then I'll be rich as a MFER.
It's
Bio
not
Trader Wayne says
sympathy.
to me, I don't buy it for a hedge or protection. I am looking at all hell breaking loose getting near the election and most other equities falling hard.
I think that a large part so man, Zero Hedge had this article. Do you want me to find the article for you?
Uzi Knesset says seller inventory plummeting too.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know what to make of that. There's this article that's really solid, but it's super long and complicated. And
Sunday Driver says when I say in sympathy, when stocks are getting smashed, algos and robot traders sell everything in proportion to market declines.
Right, but they're not just doing it because they see everything else going down. There's two specific reasons I think that it does it. But they both are related to the core issue, which is that gold is primarily a speculation trade. Where is it? Here we go. So this article right here, they talk about how the market is. Hold on.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
Sorry, I'm feeling like really sleepy today because we didn't sleep very well last night. The baby kept waking up. I don't know what it still was. Why it's such an aggressive downturn in Treasuries? I don't know what to make of it. What do you think is causing that? It's just really out of nowhere. I breathe in. I just feel so tired. Okay. What this article that I just posted you here is that it shows how different trading strategies like CFAs and funds and things like that, how their strategies are related to risk. And essentially what happens is when the VIX moves up, then not risk, volatility. So when the volatility goes up, then the amount of money that they're able to put out there declines, and then you get less liquidity. Right? So they're making a very good case that their volatility is likely to increase at some point before the end of the year, and that could have a lot of secondary wave effects on the market, because all of a sudden all of these funds are going to have to take money off, and it's going to be like the exact opposite of what we've had going up. It's just like they're just going to sell and sell and sell because it's going to go down. That's going to lead to more volatility, which means that their strategies are going to have to put on even less, and it's going to continue and continue, right? The other part of it is that there's margin calls, right? So when the equities are getting hit really, really hard, these guys have to sell something else to make up for it. So they take profits on their gold. And because it's not a flight to safety trade, it's a speculation trade, that's what's going to happen. You see, if it was a flight to safety trade, the reason why it can't be a flight to safety trade is because there's nothing inherent in gold that makes it more valuable when the economy is going down, other than that people think it is, right? Treasuries do, because the Federal Reserve literally enforces it, right? So if it's not a flight to safety trade, then what do you see? Everybody just goes into cash, which is a real problem.
Sunday Driver says more and more, I see the USD as a speculation. How can it not decline for the foreseeable future? We'll never see Paul Volcker again, which is exactly what we need.
Well, of course it's going to decline for the foreseeable future. It was way too high, man. I mean, come on. Think about the dollar index. Just the dollar being at 100 was crazy, right? In 2008, we were in like the 70s. Dollar index was like in the 70s, and that was considered high at the time, right? The dollar has become so strong that it is a negative for U.S. companies. That's why every day that the dollar goes down, the indexes rally. Yeah, it's going to go down. It has to. It's not a bad thing. Now, if it goes down to 50, then all of a sudden it's be like, okay. And remember remember that if you're making money on something, like say you're in stocks, or let's just say that you're in gold, and the primary driver for why your asset is going up is because of dollar weakness, you haven't actually made more money. You have made more dollars, but you haven't actually made more money because compared to if you price it in euro terms, you've lost money, right? Actually, in equities, you probably have made money, but I'm just saying, when that's the driver, it's deceptive, right?
Sunday Driver says it's a play on the confidence of the fiat currency. As the US dollar continues to be decline, and perhaps become funny money, gold will continue to climb in US dollars.
Nah. See, what's happening is this. You have a stock that's going like this. Okay. And then all of a sudden it goes like this. And now it starts going down. Okay. This is you. This is where you are right here. And what you're saying is, oh, the dollar is going to collapse and this is the end of the world. Okay. If we were here, then you would have a point. But when you're up here, it just kind of sounds like maybe it continues all the way down to here. But in reality, it's just the mean reversion trade. It has to come back down. It's too high. The Federal Reserve wants the dollar to decline, guys. It's too high. Too high. Man, I just feel it's starting to get to me now. I feel so heavy. Can you draw a ferret? Probably not. I'd have to do it with the pad, and I haven't been practicing. Well, that last little move up in the equities was pretty solid. It kind of preceded the move. Well, it was correlated with the move down in the Treasuries, let's say. Now to what Smash the Bid said.
Smash the Bid says it's end of month. Treasuries can be tricky.
Yeah, that's tricky to me because normally end of month means buying, right? And they just sold it hardcore. I don't know what to make of it. Other than that, I guess we're kind of close into yesterday's levels, so like we definitely are in the 10-year and then 30-year. Yeah, in the 30-year we're still there too. 182. I don't know. I certainly didn't see, well, yeah, I really didn't see it coming. I could have seen that they were coming down and that they were going to cross, but that they were going to come all the way back down and touch the break, stop them out all the way. Like, ooh, no way. No clue that was going to come. Hmm. When I breathe in, it feels like I'm sick. I've got it, guys. After this, I'm going to go outside and paint, and then I'm going to take a nap. Oh, we got about 10 minutes. So Financial Juice has an alert sound that plays when significant news is released. Like the big economic releases. But it only plays if you have the tab open. My phone fell out of my pocket. I usually put it on the desk. I forgot to. Anyways, it only makes so I just switched to that tab and it went off. And to me it's loud. It's like, what? He goes, woo!
Winston's mom says, smash the bid, yes, and while you're smashing the bid, please smash hammer the like button.
Oh,
Thanks.
We're doing pretty good on likes today. We got 7 so far. That's pretty good. Well, with my overnight trade, I should have taken it off at the low of the day. Should have said $100 was enough, but now I'm stuck. Now I have to write it. I suppose I could take it off here before the equity open. I don't know what they're going to do. For all I know, the retail traders are just going to come in and buy it again.
Athabon says I found one secret brother. This take 3 years. I am from India.
Okay. Takes a long time, that's for sure. What?
Smash the bid says smashing like buttons is against my religion. Sorry.
What is this religion? What? Well, you don't have to smash it. You can just gently caress the like button. Now, be a little careful about how you touch that like button. It's only 8. It's only 8, guys. Yeah, metaphor not safe for YouTube. Yeah. Wait, how does she read that one?
Uzi Knesset says caress the like button as if it were metaphor not safe for YouTube.
No, I wish that she reacted to letters being bolded. Damn treasuries, just pushing.
Bio-trader Wayne says the main reason the dollar has been strong for years is because of its connection to the deal the US made with OPEC years ago. With electric cars taking off, this take the dollar uncharted waters.
That's probably a good point, Bio-trader Wayne. If oil becomes a less significant part of the world economy, then the dollar's influence will probably wane. I don't think that it will necessarily stop being the reserve currency,
CB
though.
by shorting the low with a 32-tick stop winking face.
Let me by shorting it. Okay, you reverse it. I'll buy it. I actually wouldn't mind taking it long. I'm not seeing what we would need to see in the book to.
Uzi Knesset says I sell 1, you buy 2. PayPal me half lol.
There's a lot of people that claim to be relatively profitable, and a significant part of their strategy is trading 2 accounts. And then they came in and they said, if you're going to trade multiple accounts, you have to pay their professional fee. Isn't that interesting, right? It feels hard to breathe because you get that thing when you're tired and you just don't even, you're too tired to even breathe.
Uzi Knesset says yeah because they can only trade against one of your accounts at a time lol.
Exactly. And you can trick them. I don't know if that really would matter or not, but that's an interesting
Sunday
phase.
Driver says I don't think electric cars will have anything to do with it. The US dollar is the reserve for practically all commodities.
Yeah, but I think the gold is really the one that makes it so incredibly valuable. But we should keep in mind the reason that the dollar ends up being the reserve
Sunday
currency.
Driver says China has reduced US dollar transactions by around 20%.
It becomes the reserve currency because you've got the strongest consumer base in the world, you have the strongest military in the world, and it's been the most stable. So if you take out one of those pillars and you say it's not the most stable anymore, and I don't think that a reversion back to the mean necessarily means that it's not stable anymore. Would that mean that it would have to lose its reserve currency status? Probably not. And I really don't think the
Uzi
yuan
Knesset says trading
will.
against your sell lol.
I really
Uzi
don't think
Knesset says
that.
of course it would. When you can reverse a massive trend just by trying to join in, it obviously matters lol. You sell with one account, double up on a buy with another to capitalize on your broker.
Could be. Maybe. Or you can to just create volume that's actually
Athavan says
wash.
people are happy for holidays but traders hate holidays.
Yeah. I don't know. You get good moves just before holidays often. Is there like some holiday coming up
Winston's
next
mom
week or
says
something?
metaphors. She's the kind of girl who climbed the ladder of success wrong by wrong. Mae West.
You're long in the E-mini. Well, the thing is if I had seen something that made me really, really want to short it, then I would have taken a second contract. At the moment, I'm only keeping it because I have so much baked in that I
Sunday Driver
can
says I'll believe alternative
afford
fuels
to let
work
it.
when I see a solar panel factory operating 100% with solar panels as its sole source of power. And, of course, it must run at a profit.
Hmm. But so like, what do you think in 5 years if Eater ends up being Eiter, how do you pronounce it? Ends up being successful and gets past the break even point. Do you think that the markets would react at that point? Fusion, it's coming. Sell all the oil, sell it all. Fusion reactors in your car. Come on. It's coming. Okay. So maybe now we might have enough for the Treasury to turn. 10 years still a little tepid about it. And I'm not reading anything from that. Like I'm not looking at my histograms or anything and saying, okay, now it's. I'm just looking at like, has there been a change in the book? And I'm not really seeing it. I'm seeing a little bit of a change, but not like a significant one. Seller's cost basis really dropped on that move. Seller made a ton of bank on that one. You know what, Uzi? We were all talking about how can that profits be right? I think it's right. I think we just misunderstand how market makers make money. I think that he's selling. He's taking orders at 3. If it's moving down, he's buying 29 half. He's buying 30. He's buying 30 half, and he's part of the volume holding it here at 30, and he's making money on it like this, right? And then they flush it down. He gets filled, and then he makes some money on the backwash. And apparently, there's more money in that than you would expect. That's what I think's going on. What if you can do it tick by tick?
Sunday Driver says market makers make a ton on the spread and with their inventory.
Um, and then when he got a strong move down, then he really made a ton. Like something like $21 million. Okay, here goes. Initial moves appears to be
Uzi
up.
Knesset says
Not
yeah
a
the
ton of
seller is
volume
going to
on
be
it.
the one bidding the low mostly.
Okay, so there was a really tepid buy, and then the sellers came out and hit it with a lot more volume. So let's call that first initial move a sell. And they're very quickly making a run for the last pivot low at 32.54. Okay, so they break that pretty convincingly. Yesterday's close was 32.49. Yeah, well, 32.50 probably first and then 49. There's a number of significant numbers down here. And I'm not calling any of these numbers out for you to be like, oh, this is a place where it's likely to turn or anything like that. But just that's places where traders are going to be looking at it. So we kind of want to just pay attention through this whole area because they're all of them are going to be potential areas of interest. Okay. Good. Wow. That was a real stop run right there. Okay. Still a little bit short of yesterday's close. Okay. So I did not notice this, and I should have. The JPY is getting creamed, and that is probably, yep, when the JPY, actually, the Treasuries went first. Well, at least that one. No, the JPY has been moving down all morning, and the Treasuries win with it, and that I think is a big part of why. Now, because the E-mini is selling, and normally when it's like flight to safety, the JPY goes up, right? Gold down as well. Euro down. Really, all of these short time frame. The Japanese yen really took a really nasty head fake though. Like they started the session yesterday up, and then it's just been down. It looks like a shark fin. To show you their upper left, top left. Shark fin. Nasty move. Okay.
Sunday driver says I'm seeing gold is up around $16 US dollars.
Well, it's still slightly up on the session, but they were up at 2000 at one point, and now they're 1976. So, from my point of view, we're $25 off of the high, right? And they're experiencing at the moment a significant downtrend in all of these currencies, and the dollar is strengthening, and the correlation with equities is not perfect though. While that's been happening, the E-mini has mostly been flat up until the open here, and then the bears came out. Okay, so heads up, we are going to be getting the Chicago PMI soon, right? And you got to remember that it is released to subscribers early, 3 minutes before public release time listed on the calendar. So at 7:42 my time. So in 7 minutes, we'll get the Chicago PMI. Okay. So now they are below yesterday's close, and the low is 45. 45. And then you've got to be looking at like 43, 37. And those are the prices from whence the huge move up from the FANG stocks started. Pull global funds favorite bonds over stocks on surging coronavirus infections. RTRS. Global funds recommended cutting equity holdings in July to the lowest in 4 years and suggested keeping bond allocations unchanged from June. Tucker Carlson lashes out at Obama, one of the sleaziest and most dishonest figures in it. Man, conservatives were really upset by Obama's speech yesterday. You know, the one thing that I was seeing in particular that they were really upset about, um, what was it? Oh, yeah. Obama saying that you should nuke the filibuster. So they were like, oh, okay. So if Democrats get in power, they will nuke the filibuster and try and shove every far left policy they possibly can down our throats before we can figure it out and vote them out of office. The conservatives were incensed. Not only that he would say that, but that he would say it at a funeral. Okay. So as the E-mini has made this pretty aggressive down move, like I said, the low is 45. 45.75. So what? Now I have to be exact about it. They probably need a little bit of a further move to say for sure that we busted the overnight low, but but as we've done this, the treasuries have not come back at all. I wonder how much of this weakness in equities is the treasury yields increasing. What do you think? I mean, the move in the treasuries is a retracement, so maybe it's just that they bought them up too high. I don't know.
Sunday Driver says
Interesting.
Dems will be ruthless when they consolidate power across all forms of government. They will destroy red areas with immigration and federalizing local zoning controls. They are monsters.
Yeah, the federalizing zoning laws is a big deal that Donald Trump has picked up on in recent. Nope. Decent Tower asks, is there subscriber service to this channel? Nope. Okay, so that was a pretty solid confirmation of uh, breaking the overnight low. Now, once they did that, they are getting a decent pullback. 30 seconds. So let's recenter things. Here we go. Okay, so I didn't see a huge reaction, but it did look like a tepid buy. Very tepid. So the estimate is 43.9. So I bet you that it must have come in at something like 44. Just still, that's a number 50 is neutral. Brexit negotiations now scheduled to stretch on into October. Negotiators will meet the weeks of August 17th, September 7th, and September 28th. The British government said in a statement on Friday. Ellen DeGeneres apologizes, says she's committed to ensuring workplace allegations do not happen again. Not pertinent to the markets, I guess, but is there like anybody safe from like being thought of as a douchebag in today's political environment? There was anybody that you thought was maybe safe, I would have thought it would be Ellen. Nope. Okay. Pushed a new low there ahead of the news. So that must mean that they don't think that the PMI really changed things a whole lot, and that the real trade is other things, likely the unemployment, and that we were just so high. Okay. Oh, this is quite good actually. 51.9. 51.9 versus an estimated 43.9. Market is selling. Maybe equities are just too hungover from the Fang Fest yesterday. What do you think? Okay, well, at the top of the hour, we get Michigan consumer expectations. That would be a significant number as well. Well, the buyers are trying to dig out here. Okay, it's coming back. It's coming back. I would say that was a positive number. Okay. Still about 10 minutes, 11 minutes. E-mini kind of ranging around here. Probably a pivot high there. Bespoke tweets. Dow Brent is terrible this morning. Just 3 of 30 stocks are up. Apple counts for 150 points while the index is down 4 points. Interesting. So what they're saying is that if it wasn't for Apple, that we would probably be down even more. And now that said, in the S&P 500, the tick readings that I'm get are pretty middle of the road right now. I haven't gotten a really negative tick reading yet. Oh, there they go for the low again. So we are now pushing into the range from around yesterday's close in the E-mini when the FANG stocks earnings came out and we just skyrocketed out of there. The other side of this, let's call it a 10-point range now down to 32.30. Seeing that new low and kind of the way that they sold it's got to be really discouraging for some longs because those Chicago PMI numbers were good. I mean, probably the best thing that you could have, a slightly positive Chicago PMI number, and they just got dumped on. Okay. Well, they're recovering. There was a little bit of something there. I don't know if that was news or what, but it was a pretty frantic move back up there. Apparently, this is going to be a really long 10 minutes because it's only been 2.5 minutes, and I'm like, the market ear, bro, I don't trade the USD, I trade SPUs. I bet I know what that chart's going to look like. Yep. Dixie versus the SPUs inverted. They're almost equal in terms of, yeah, that's totally dollar weakening that has been a large part of the. And what's happening this morning? Dollar is strengthening. Dollar is strengthening as the yen in particular gets hammered. I want to comment on that one.
Sunday Driver says Seth, where do you see the US dollar bottom? I see it going below 70 before the 2024 election.
I don't know if I can see that far ahead, to be honest with you. I just know that we're super high. One thing I will say is that I think that you're going to see a period of dollar strengthening. Maybe this is the start of it because it was falling really fast. Like, really. I can look at a chart and I can see where it is on a chart. But I don't think that that kind of analysis would be very reliable. I think that we would have to look at the flows. I mean, it's going to be the money flow, right? So we can look at how much money is going to be coming into the United States versus coming out and calculate where that will reach an equilibrium. So I have no clue where. Sure that somebody's done that analysis out there though. So maybe we should look for it. Finally into my 28 half. So if I had held on to that trade all the way from yesterday, and now I would finally get filled. Well, now we can buy it if we want. We wanted to buy there. Probably not. This move in the treasuries is now so extended that I really don't know what to make of it. Like, should it revert at some point? I don't know.
Sunday Driver says you think like a day trader. Lol. Short-term charting, you can see some strengthening. Long-term fundamentals for the US dollar are as bad as I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, I can look at the factors that are influencing it today. I mean, that's the issue, is that if I want to look at what are the factors that are going to influence the dollar in the next year that are going to determine where it's going to stop at, there's too many for me to just consider. I would have to make a model, right? I would have to program a model. And I think that if I was going to program a model, that a big part of it would have to do with, okay, at what point does the dollar weaken enough that it becomes worth it to make stuff over here versus another place? And then that stems the flow, right? And I don't know where that is. It could be back down at 70 though, for sure, yeah. Like I would probably be looking at prices from before Donald Trump. I don't think they can do it all at once though. We have lost like what? We were like at 95, 96 the start of this week. Yeah, 94. Around 94. I guess 2-3 points isn't crazy. Pretty bad, but not crazy. Hmm. The E-mini actually looks a little oversold here for a moment. Trying to figure out why this bar must be that the top of the 30 minutes is way back up at 32.60. Well, let's just chill and wait for the consumer expectations. Consumer sentiment, rather, is an estimated 73.
Sunday Driver says that's true. As manufacturing comes back, that will be a tailwind. But fiscal policy is absolutely murder to the US dollar. When AOC's vision of MMT is implemented, it's goodbye to the dollar.
I don't think that's going to happen. Even with like as much control as they could have after the election, and we don't actually know. But even if it was like a worst case scenario, they would have a very, very difficult time implementing MMT. The market there would be a certain point at which the bond vigilantes would come out and would throw them for such a loop that they would have to back off. Can you imagine? We saw just a retracement of yesterday's drop in yields, right? And look at the way that the market is reacting. Can you imagine if the vigilantes came out and started pushing up interest rates on them? It would be total havoc. No, there is okay, so the number is less than expected at 72. 72.5 versus 73. Current conditions 82.8 versus 84.2. I'm still waiting for the inflation expectations, although we might be expecting an increase. Okay, so we got 3% versus 3.1, so it's actually pretty close to on par with the estimate. 3%.
Winston's mom says, what do you think Friday's title for this video should be? Speculator Seth. And speaking of Flashback Friday, why it is hard for a communist to tell a joke. It's not funny until everyone gets it.
I think that today's video title should be something like, I held it short overnight. Is that right? Okay, so those numbers were bad. They weren't terribly divergent from the expectation. So I still am kind of looking at this like, I'm not so sure that this sell had anything to do with expectations about those economic numbers. Nah, we don't really have anything else today. Well, we got like Baker Hughes and stuff like that, but I think that it's got to be about the unemployment benefits are going to expire, and we had such a huge up move yesterday that, given those
Vlad Stolyarov
conditions,
says we doing the TSLA type of earnings.
yeah, Tesla's freaking.
Vlad Stolyarov says bring it to VWAP and reject.
Like when you look at some of the earnings, my understanding is that there's been more beats than misses, but when you think about the significant earnings, think about how many of them had really interesting stories behind them, right? Tesla earnings, they were profitable, but only
Winston's mom
because of
says,
credits.
I held it short. Overnight, might bring in a while new audience. I'd be curious to see who clicked on that bait.
Yeah, that would be bait. I mean, it would be bait for anybody that watched it and knew that we were down, right? They'd be like, "Wow, that's a good catch. What did you do with it?" No, Tesla profitable, but only because of credits. Amazon 10 times expected earnings per share. What? And especially after the markets had pumped up going into it so much, for Amazon to beat like that is just astounding to me. How is that
Vlad
possible? It's
Stolyarov
so
says
crazy.
TSLA looking very bearish now.
They're looking, where are they at? What's the price? I just don't like opening up that active trader that I got. It's a crappy program, to be frank. Fidelity. Maybe I should move. I only have that because that was where they opened my
Vlad
account.
Stolyarov says 1480 trying to bounce.
Ooh. Oh, that's not that bad. I mean, that's about where they were last Friday. Roughly where they were last Friday. Oh, they've been halted?
Vlad Stolyarov says candles were bearish.
That's super interesting. Halted, huh? Well, there's some new lows. Like I said, the bottom of this range is 30 though, so. Oh, it's not Tesla. It was TLSA,
Vlad
which is
Stolyarov says we in
Tazina
danger
Life
zone.
Sciences. Oh, you fooled me. You got me, Rand Squawk. You got me. But Tesla is down pretty good, huh?
Vlad Stolyarov says only thing they probably hold above 400 is AAPLBC. It's doing 4-to-1 split.
There's a new low. They're recovering it okay. I have to say, so far, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good sell. It's a strong sell. It looks pretty pedestrian to me, though.
Vlad
Not
Stolyarov
seeing
says I
like
seen
crazy,
futures sell off
crazy.
on Friday and if they go under lows and hold it's usually bad all day.
Right? No, yeah, here's a really good point, dude. I think that's a great I've definitely seen that as well. That it's like when things are going poorly on a Friday, they tend to just go and go and go because nobody wants to hold it into the weekend. And honestly, with part of the reason why we're selling probably having to do with not only coronavirus cases, but the lack of stimulus. You don't want to hold that over the weekend. You're totally right, dude. Now that said, we are still just retracing prices from yesterday, right? Like let's just say like a good target would be yesterday's point of control at 34. Yesterday's point of control is 34, and again, the lower end of that kind of uh, distribution is
Vlad
at
Stolyarov says
32.30.
still playing in 50-50.
Now, if they were to get below 32.30, then you're talking about something pretty serious. Then you would start to see some crazy movement. Now, let's come and look at the footprint. There was an okay distribution at 44, 45, but they never quite got enough to be like the buy the dip kind of stuff. It was getting there though. Although a lot of that was probably just being on hold before the news. So if we come down and somewhere in the 30 to 40 range, I start to get a distribution like that, then I'll probably get out.
Winston's mom says danger zone. Maverick walks into a bar. This is what I call a target-rich environment.
When is that? Is that movie still coming out? Oh, wait. Dun, 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 dun. Release date December 23rd.
Vlad Stolyarov says lol.
I have to finally pick my phone up off of the floor so I can put that in my calendar. December 23rd.
Vlad Stolyarov says NQ looking more and more like short.
TikTok shows me videos of fighter planes. I just think it's the coolest
Vlad
stuff, man.
Stolyarov says stop would be over 10,840 plus.
Well, I am starting to get close to the I have to think about taking it off here. We're in a potential, I don't know. If I see something super crazy here, that might be the signal I need. What was that? My phone was, it's, oh, cool. My mom texted me a video. Okay, so there's 35. Like, they're chasing it down for sure.
Vlad Stolyarov says casino stock dumped.
I guess I do see.
Vlad Stolyarov says maybe they reclose everything.
In Las Vegas? Oh, I don't know about that one. The mayor seemed to be pretty partial to opening things back up. But it is the issue. Why would you go to a casino? Nobody's going to go to Las Vegas. For sure. Even if everything was open again. Why would you go there?
Vlad Stolyarov says Vegas is terrible in recession time.
And it's not just that, but like travel. Like
Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA 1466 now.
like we haven't gone. Normally we would go and visit grandparents in Oklahoma. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Okay, that looks like it right there, guys. Oops, that is not where I wanted to put an order. What the hell? Since when did I have an order column on there? How long has it been like? What? Maybe we should leave it like that. I don't know. Watch it plummet another 5 points now that I took it off. Nah, that was enough volume. I think that I was doing, because not only were we getting close to that break even point in the equities, it's really an overextended momentum. We're into some support. And then we did see some significant volume trade down there below 134 that seems to indicate significant profit taking by market makers. So I think that I've got to hold that one, because I mean, it's possible that they break below 32.30 and just fall out, and then this ends up being a trend day and like they reverse all of yesterday's action. But what are the chances of that? I don't know if that's actually what's going to happen. So as much as I would love to just keep holding on, I think that I made a pretty good trade there. And
Vlad Stolyarov says if Thursday is market top. Vlad Stolyarov says pretty good chances. Vlad Stolyarov says from last week.
It's a good question, Vlad. I don't know. So far I have to put question on this. This sell looks super great, yes, but we are still just in the range that occurred before the FANG stocks announced and the markets took off. This was a gap fill. It was a gap fill. I'm kind of feeling bearish because I think that here, how do I say
Vlad
this?
Stolyarov says yeah.
If the markets don't freak out, they're not going to get stimulus. Right? Let me say that again. If the markets don't freak out today, how are you going to get a stimulus passed? We went over the brink and the markets just kind of casually are okay with it. What if you're a Republican and you're watching the markets and you're one of the guys that said I can't support this huge debt that we're taking on? How do you justify it? You can't. If the market is doing just fine after going out over the brink, then you're not going to pass it. The what is the word? Leverage for these guys that want more stimulus has been reduced unless today they sell off hard. So I'm bearish because of that and the positioning going into the day. Like I said, I kind of planned it out. I was like, well, okay, they're going to buy up because of the FANG stocks, but then after the FANG stocks are done, the fundamentals are negative. So I want to short after the market reopens. I don't want to hold through that time period because that's just crazy. But afterwards, I want to go short, and I did, and it worked. Crazy. But here again, is that what the market is doing, though? I don't know. It's a fairly pedestrian down move. It's mostly a retracement so far. It hasn't gotten crazy. They are touching 30 there. They are kind of flirting with it. Could happen. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Sunday Driver says you are forgetting
Donald
about the
Trump
political and
tweeted
social
something
economy during an
else.
election cycle.
And there's just they just don't have the votes for it, man. Like, come on. They literally put up. Wait, hold on. More Chinese sanctions on individuals. The Republicans said we will extend the unemployment for 1 week, and that was all that was in the bill, and they shot it down. Right? If the market doesn't freak out here, well, what the hell? What the what? The what? Jigsaw. That was weird. That was really weird. And definitely something feels off about maybe I can make my volume profile a little bigger. How about that? That's a little better. Okay, so now they're at 30. So I probably could have waited. 30 there looks like a little bit better of an entry. So there was probably another 4 points in that for me. But this is kind of like are we gonna go over the cliff? Ooh, yeah. Well, that's looking good so far. The Treasuries are reversing, by the way. That was quite fast. Okay, and you can see that the action has gotten a little bit more dire since they've gotten below 30, isn't it? That doesn't mean that they're going to continue down or anything. But that does mean that some market participants viewed that break as significant. $25 needs to hold.
Vlad Stolyarov says we oversold now.
Yep. I am now at my spot.
Vlad Stolyarov says or near.
That was weird. What? That is a weird bug. How do you think I created that one? Here, let's do this. If I reload the ES, CME indices, okay. Let's reload that one. Okay, so they broke 25, man. Woo, should have held it. Should have held it. Nah, I think at this point, this is a really typical one. I don't think that there's really anything that I look at that I can justify further down action from here, except for the fundamentals that the market has to freak out because of no unemployment. Let's see here. U.S. Treasury Department issues a license allowing wind down of transactions activities related to block subsidies of Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps until September 30th. What would you do if the NASDAQ sold off 2 to 3% and the dollar index gained 1% from here? Asks the market ear. What are people saying? I tell you what, if you guys don't follow the market ear on Twitter, that is one of the best accounts. Just to wait for further decline. Buy gold and silver. But gold is down. It's so weird. Dude, this 6J, I'm going to make it big because this seems to be key here, all right? Look at the drop in the 6J. Look at the drop in the 6J. You know, that makes me think of another theory about what's going on that I think actually might be more likely is perhaps this is end of month currency flows. And the Japanese yen, they're bringing money, I don't know. They're taking money out of Japan for the end of the month for some reason. And that seems to be screwing with everybody.
Sunday Driver says gold is up.
Did gold? Well, it's not. It's up on the day, but it's not up through this move. Look at it. Let's look at it on the 5-minute chart here. Okay. Well, it is up since the E-mini. That is true. See from here through this whole move down in the E-mini since the open, gold is up about $10 maybe. They are giving back some of that very quickly though, as the E-mini appears to be returning. If we come back to our footprint, wow. That when you look at it with the footprint, that really woo. Okay, let's see this right here, 12,000. That's kind of like what I'd like to see for a bounce. So I could see that, or probably around here, and have it be a little bit wider. You know, a couple of prices through this whole area, 15K. Then I would be really confident about a bounce.
Sunday Driver says all my gold holdings are up for the day. I don't focus on moves minute by minute. I'm making a small fortune on precious metals.
Well, it matters. I can't have you come in and say though that it's down, because when we're looking at, because the thing that I'm trying to point out to people is where is the money moving from and moving to when different things happen right now, right? Overnight gold was up, but then they gave up a ton of it. And then ever since the E-mini came out, okay, so now that they're selling the E-mini, it looks like that the retail traders are likely selling their stock holdings and going into gold. So that's kind of, we have to kind of put it in that context, right? Because to me, I'm not going to put an order in gold, and I don't necessarily recommend that our traders trade gold futures, although you can make money there. It's very illiquid, so be careful, right? We care because we want to know where is the money moving from and moving to, and what does it tell us about the market, and what, and in particular, because if we can look at where it's coming from and to, we can get a better idea of why is it moving. Okay, so it seems to me that the originator, like one of the most key drivers of this, has been the drop in the yen. The yen dropped, then the yields increased, right? All of the treasuries turned down. And as that was all happening, the E-mini sold off from the open. But it's a retracement back to a key area. They appear to be finding some support. We'll see. We'll see. I took that off a little, not a little, way too early. Could have, there was another $50 in it. Well, I still did okay. I can't say it was a bad trade. Anyways, so with all of that in mind, I'm thinking, okay, the problem is that Congress isn't going to make a deal. They're not going to make they're not going to extend the unemployment. Not this week, at least. So if it's a play on that, I guess that could lead to some dollar strengthening. That's possible. Okay. But why would it originate in the dollar yen, right? You would expect on that it would be like some big news event. It's definitely not happening. Panic. VIX up. Stocks sell. All of the different things trigger off. It didn't happen like that. It was just kind of we're going to go down, and it was just kind of a pedestrian down move, which suggests to me that it was the 6J that was the key driver. And if it's the 6J that's the key driver, why would the 6J be moving? It's the last day of the month. So if it's because it's the last day of the month, we need to have a little bit of caution about how far this is going to go, because even though it looks really, really crazy right now, and it could be a trend day, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's probably not going to be a trend day. It's probably in the long run just going to look like a gap fill. And then we see where we go from Monday. Right? So that's the only reason why I'm not dissing the dollar, the gold trade overall. It's just I'm trying to explain to people what I think moves markets. And to explain that, we got to look at the whole system. We can't just look at our one instrument. We have to see where the money is moving to and from over the entire world. Mm-hmm. Oh, so Chewy took along. Okay, so now we need to come and look at the VIX, because that's another thing that we have not analyzed for today's session. And like that link that I gave you guys earlier, the VIX is so very, very important. Okay, so we win well below it. I actually took it off at the VIX target. Cool. Hey, I got the trade that I wanted then, basically. 3208 would be the second VIX target and the trend day if that were to happen. And it is a possibility. I'm going out on a limb and saying that it's probably not going to be, but I'm not confident enough on that to take a trade on it. So Congress approval drops to 18%. Donald Trump says steady at 41%, says Gallup polling. Exxon is confident in maintaining a dividend for at least a year.
Vlad Stolyarov says they hit all the weak stocks pretty good today.
Yeah. Well, so when I look at the tick, I'm getting like negative on 794, I think was that at the lows there. And that was only at the lows. They were actually negative 400 to the negative 600 pretty much the whole way, and it's come back up to the positive 400 a few times. So again, it seems like a really good sell, but it's not nearly as crazy as some of these ones. Like, uh, let's compare. Yeah, lad, the 23rd. When was that? Last Thursday. Last Thursday was a much more dramatic move. The 12th. I remember the 12th. Um that was the Monday, right? Yeah. That was Monday 2 weeks ago, 12th and 13th. That was a really really crazy ugly move, right? This one feels fairly pedestrian compared to those.
Winston's mom says Flashback Friday, far out. For back then music, the Easy Beats, Friday on My Mind, French TV, 1967, 1080p HD.
So Tesla is now at 1470. Also, when you look at the VIX, I mean, the VIX is going up, of course, but it was way higher yesterday. Like at yesterday's open when we were negative, it was like a 27. And here through this down, even after this crazy downturn, we're still around the 25, 26 area. So even the VIX isn't spiking up a ton. They're still treating it like a gap fill. Lots of ways of seeing it. Now, what are some things that we might see? Well, we already discussed it, right? The counter to that is that we're not going to get a stimulus and that the market needs to just continue to panic and sell until it happens. That's probably the best argument in counter to that says that we're going to have that we're going to have a trend day. And we did go well through the first VIX target. So doing it so strongly like that does, I think, it's encouraging that we could go to the second VIX target. Okay, so the marketeer is saying that Apple is up 5.6, Facebook is up 6.8, and Amazon is up 3.9, and it feels like the market is crashing. So this is another thought, is the market is crashing, except for those FANG stocks are still holding it up, and that's why it feels so pedestrian and like it's not like the floor is falling out? Okay, well, the Treasuries did come back to kind of like the break-even point. You know what? When I was sitting there and I was saying, I don't know how far they can go, this seems a little crazy. And then they finally came back to the 28. We could have reversed it there, but look, we would have gotten 28 to 31. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. But compared to the 16 ticks down that we had, probably not worth it. I'm glad that I just stuck with my E-mini trade. Even though we're still below where I got out. That last leg down was pretty cray-cray.
Vlad Stolyarov says losing 3,238 on bearish day usually don't return, but it's Friday, anything goes inside day.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Like, I could really see a distribution here. I could see it distribute for a while and then maybe in an hour or 2 hours turn back around. Keep in mind that we are in the counter trend period. So another possibility is that in 10 minutes it reverses and then they move up. But you're right. Like, the chances of them getting back above the open, for instance, are very, very low. Overall, I'm really happy with the way that that trade worked out. I was really nervous about taking a simulated trade and holding it overnight, but like, I got enough when it originally happened. I was like, okay, this is risk free. I just put it to my stop and I can walk away, and it worked. They never touched it. YouTube was telling me that my audio bit rate was real low, but then I'm looking in OBS and it's fine. Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, will brief reporters shortly on the negotiations for the new coronavirus relief proposal. Okay. That would be a good reason to be out. The first reply to that is he gonna cry? Okay. Oh, Jennifer Jacobs is a senior White House reporter for Bloomberg News. I think we should follow her. Getting this story again about how Iowa teachers are writing and sending their own obituaries to the governor ahead of fall reopenings. I'm just, ugh. You're not gonna die. Stop. Ooh, dear, what's this zero hedge? Wow. Oh, so this must be number of Robinhood
PRT1 says
traders.
drama.
Number of Robinhood traders in a stock. And it looks like they are dumping Kodak. We should come over here and wait. Whoosh. So $4. 11. Oh, it is. So I was wondering about that day. It was like, I don't know if I can tell you guys like just don't buy Kodak or go short, because when this looks like a mania and it'll probably go down. Because I didn't know what like the valuation was, but it looks like that would have been the right call, right? You're down since then. Probably most of those retail traders that bought from Robinhood, because this is where it was pre-market news, so they all bought after this, right? So if it's below 20, then all 95,000 of those day traders that bought it are losing money on it. Kind of crazy to think about, right? That is really, really, now that I put it, I'm like, that is really, really crazy. Well, it's not 95 was the max amount that had it. So it's really more like 80, let's call it 80,000. 80,000 day traders underwater on Kodak. Wow. And it's only down 5,000. So there's still 75,000 to go. Wow.
Vlad Stolyarov says nice serves him right, Trump and dumb.
That's wild. It's really a 120K to puke. So can you imagine that? 120,000 traders in Kodak are going to have to sell and puke. I'm going to have to make that part of the video here. Man. I just put that one on TikTok. Sahil Kapoor, one reason why negotiations aren't going anywhere, as the Democrats tell it, is that Republicans lack a cohesive position, so they don't know who's in charge and can deliver votes. He can't negotiate with a ghost, says one Dem aide familiar with talks. True, but you could have passed the extension and you didn't. What a load of shit, to be honest. Okay, White House offered 4-month extension on $600 UI benefit last night, which the Democrats rejected because they want a longer and not piecemeal approach. Lots of holy 4-month extension. Wait, July, August, September, November, December. That's like through to the end of the year. You've got to be kidding me. How? Wow. Wow. I am just so stunned.
Vlad Stolyarov says I see them absorbing NQ a bit.
Well, so that last move down towards the low, they kissed the low and they're bouncing on it. It's probably going to look like a double bottom, but the way that they traded that makes me really, really weary about it, to be honest.
Vlad Stolyarov says 10,780 is resistance.
You get that like, oh, it's a double bottom and it's too obvious. That's what that looks like to me, man. A little too obvious. If they come back down to that price, I might have to sell it.
Vlad Stolyarov says we still very much in bearish chop.
I guess it maybe depends a little bit on how much inventory
Vlad Stolyarov
I see
says
these
need
guys
to prove they
holding.
can push.
One of the things that I'm seeing is that it looks like that the longs are holding a lot of inventory, and that when they started bouncing from the lows, that they continued to take on more. So there are some buyers taking on significant risk here, and if it were to go to a newer low, then it could get quite ugly, because but the split side of that is they must be really confident that it's going to bounce. Because they are very long now. They are very long now. Like, it looks like, well, what happened was, all of that shorting was market orders bailing, either bailing or taking new positions short, and the buyers absorbed it the whole way down. So I don't see indications of like the short market makers trying to increase their
Gorilla
short
Digits
positions.
says cumulative delta is net positive since the open on NQ.
Is it net positive on NQ? It's not positive on the E-mini, but I'm looking at it the opposite way though, Gorilla Digits. Let me explain. New name. Interesting name. Whenever I see a new name, like we're pretty tight here, so when I see somebody new, I usually am like, okay, so you see I have this blue line and this orange line. That is like an estimated cost basis for the market makers, the limit orders. Okay, so if you take all of the limit orders through the whole night, and that's like where their cost basis ends up being, right? So that's kind of why, well, I was short from here anyways, but come in down here, here's the overnight guys cost basis at 53, right? And they just blew through that. You kind of knew that they were going to have to go down and go into some of these. So now this fainter dotted line, I don't know if you can see it, but hold on. This is just a squawk in my ear. This dotted line is like where below this the market maker like
Vlad
starts to
Stolyarov
lose
says S
significant
volumes
money.
are even so it's battle.
Starts to lose significant amounts of money, right?
JB says can you explain that one more time? Interesting.
Yeah, let me start over again. Okay. This blue line is an estimated cost basis for all of the limit buy orders, essentially. Okay. So if it's below this line, buyers are losing money, generally speaking. If it's above this line, sellers are losing money generally. So right now here, this is what I would call the spread. This is the area that they kind of bounce between that you can kind of make money on. Now you'll notice sometimes it can have some random action around it, but you'll also notice that when they come to that first time, that they'll often bounce, right? Like here, sellers still want it. Bounced. Okay. Didn't really get a whole lot off of it. Okay, so now I want to zoom in here. So now, and this is what I was really wanted to show you, is look at the bottom. Blue line, buy inventory held, number of contracts held by those buyers, and sell inventory, number of contracts held by those sellers. These are the limit orders, right? Now it's an estimate. Just understand it's an estimate. It's just, there's a lot of like crazy assumptions, and there can be situations where it could be dead wrong. Okay, but I found it to be really, really useful. So we had some sellers took off a lot of inventory on this move down, right? And then when they came back up, did they really increase their positions? Not really, right? So then we kind of went sideways. Okay, and we came down. So you can kind of see how this move was driven by, market orders coming down. So now when I look at the inventory here, okay, buyers picked up a lot of inventory. Sellers are picking up some inventory too, but not nearly as much as the sellers. So that's kind of where it gets into like, okay, if they get down there and they break a new low, that's a lot of longs. That's going to be ugly. And those sellers are going to make tons of money, and they will have so much money at that point that they will just be able to just plow them. Right? So it's, yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says bearish yeah.
Well, it's kind of bearish. It kind of sets up a situation, right? Because I think that one of the things that says is that the buyers seem to be fairly confident about a turn here. Or at least, I shouldn't say that, but there's a number of longs looking for a turn here. So it's a positioning thing, right? If they break again, there's a good number of buyers to stop out. So sometimes you get this thing where it's like it comes back, and then they go down for the new low, and nothing really happens. And you're like, why not? They hit a new low. Why am I not getting the stops? But now if we look at the inventory, we can kind of get a better idea about how significant of a reaction there will be to losing a spot like that right now. And what it's telling us is that you've got a good amount of fuel.
Vlad Stolyarov says we didn't have big flush ta. Vlad Stolyarov says yet. Vlad Stolyarov says that would be buyers' stops.
Yep. Okay, so JB.
JB says are those stock indicators or one of you custom ones?
It's a custom one. If that one ever sees the light of day, it's going to be a long time. Because for starters, we've only been using it for a week. Now, well, let's come and look at it. Let's come and look at it, shall we? Been doing pretty good. It's probably not as good as I think, but it feels to me like I've done really well this week. Remember, there was one day that was a little sketchy. Yeah, was pretty good. There was one day that was kind of bad. This one day, I think my gross P&L was negative because I took a loser on the Treasury trade, which we shouldn't count. So let's just do micros, shall we? Let's just do micros. Okay, yeah. So this is how I have performed using this with just micros this week. Just this week, I've done amazing. Well, I don't want to like brag too much, but I'm really happy about it. Okay, this is really good for me. Let's go into some of these stats. Okay, so I'm hitting 60% actually, 80% on my shorts. But how many did I actually take? Four winning trades. So one thing is, you notice I'm not taking nearly as many trades, and the amount that I'm making on them is a lot more. So look at this. My average MFE on some of these is like 41. Right? And my MAE is, so it hasn't necessarily made my entries more accurate, interestingly enough. But which you would think that it would, but so we need to work there. But that is really good. That is really good. Like, let's just compare it to the week before that. Compared to The week before, yeah, sure. Yeah, the week before was actually pretty good too. But let's go back into like the win rate, right? I was making 60% versus a 34%. So I'm getting a lot less losers. My MFE is way better. Democrats have rejected 4 offers, is what I'm hearing over here.
Winston's mom says 0956 CST timestamp. Speculator Seth is given permission to brag about his victories.
So it's good looking good, but it's a 1 week, right? It's just 1 week. So when I look at my performance in the micros over the whole month, it's pretty good. But there was this day. That one was a fairly bad mistake, I think. Overall, it's pretty good equity curve, though, for a month, right?
Winston's mom says virtual pat on the back. Good job. That's a nice way to begin a weekend, on a up note.
Now, let's go a little further back. How far back can I go? I think that if I go back to March, that should start picking up some of the bad days. Because I want to show you. Yeah. Okay. So there was one day where I took a losses that was like, so like I was doing really well, but a lot of this was, well, hold on. Yeah. I was messing with multiple contracts up in here, right? So you can see here was one day that I had some pretty bad. But then you can kind of see like there was some days that weren't very good, right? And then we're getting into May, right? And what happened in May? What happened in May? May onward. May to July. Around here, it was, well, so I need to go even a little bit further. We will cherry pick it. So it was really more like the 11th, I think. Around here was when I said, okay, I'm going to base all of my trades primarily on news. Some numbers, Canadian numbers coming in right now. It's pretty crazy, right?
Vlad Stolyarov says possible reversal time. If they fail, it's gonna be bad.
Well, they came out of the counter trend time period, and they kind of haven't done a whole lot of anything. I do kind of agree with you. Like, this is a spot. Let's see what the footprint looks like now. So they were able to build 14,000 at 32.28. They were able to build, so it's possible. I think it would be a little bit more encouraging if they built out a little bit more volume in the 30 and 29 area. But it does look like it's probably going to bounce. Man. So is it as easy as just saying, just trade news? Well, I don't think so. Because you got to know what their positioning is, and that's kind of where this thing ends up being like really useful, this indicator. Now, will I sell it? I don't know. One of the things is that a description of it, I didn't come up with this. Somebody on Futures.io gave us the explanation for it, Hyperscalper. And so I'm going to, what? What is the word? What is the word? I mean, I'm going to keep talking to him about it, and if I do anything, I'm going to, get it through with him first. He's making something similar in ATAS. I think that I'm a little bit further along than he is. He kind of wants to do it in NinjaTrader, but I don't think that he can really. You really want the Rhythmic data. So this is one of the big issues, is that really to do this properly, I think we want the Rhythmic market by order data. So at some point, I think I'm going to have to create my own platform. So we'll take that and we'll write up this thing in that. And I guess I'm going to have to make my own chart. I don't know. It's super crazy thinking about it. But if that's what you got to do, then that's what you got to do, right? But then the other side of it is that it's like, well, this is working really well, and I don't know what the impact of everybody having it is, So I don't want, my whole thing here is, and this thing that I've been trying to teach you guys, or if there's like one thing right now. Well, hold on. Octavius asked a good question that I want to respond to.
Octavius C says, wasn't Jigsaw supposed to come out with charts this week?
I think it might be next week. I don't know. They're still talking to people. More news. Yeah, they're talking about the bill. Some congressional leaders are talking about the bill. I don't know if it was supposed to be this week, but they made a blog post, and they were saying, well, if you use the NinjaTrader Bridge, then you probably won't be able to use our charts. And I think a lot of people are upset by that, because they made a follow-up blog post saying, well, you'll still be able to use your NinjaTrader charts. You just won't be able to use them together with the Jigsaw charts. And there's not going to be programming built into it. And probably a lot of the indicators that you want aren't going to be there. I really like the super smoother. Okay. I think that there's absolutely nothing predictive about it. It's just a moving average, but it is the best moving average, in my opinion. I really like it. There's no chance that the super smoother is going to be in there. They won't make it. They straight up, they're not going to make it. So, without the ability to program, I don't know if the Jigsaw charts end up being hyper useful. But there's another issue, okay, and that is I want the market by order data, okay? This is significant processing involved in it, right? Because what you get right now is an order comes in, well, a change comes in, and it just says, okay, it's 14, there's 1,300 here. Now there's, and each time that this number flickers, that was another message that came over the wire. Well, it's going to change it to, market by order changes it to, I have a list of orders in a queue, and it tells me which order got modified. And then I put that order at the back of the queue, right? So that's a lot more data. A lot more data coming over to the wire, and a lot more data for me to update. And to do those many updates on a DOM like this, like you got, it's going to significantly affect the performance of the DOM. It's good. I would think. I mean, I'm going to have to try it. Maybe my machine can handle it. But I would think that that's going to be a significant hit to your performance. So should Jigsaw completely redo their platform to do market by order data? No, it would not make sense for them to do that. It would not make sense for them to do that. And you can kind of tell in the way that Pete talks about it. He just really doesn't want to do it, because the benefit that the majority of the traders would get from it would be very minuscule, and it would be a lot of work, and it would be very expensive. My mic is shitty. Well, I don't know. Maybe it might have some settings for, but I tell you, the mics, I have a couple of different mics. Pretty much all sound the same. Really, the internet compression changes it so much that. Anyways, I like the way that it looks, and I'm very happy with it. But if you don't like it, I understand. Anyways, So it doesn't really make sense for them to put that market by order data in there as well. So I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, I really like Jigsaw. I'd still recommend it as a primary platform, but I'm starting to get into stuff that no platform out there is really well suited for. So what do I got to do? I guess I can try making my own. Why not? I think I have the skills to do it. Well, we'll see what happens. Do we still have requests? No, we still do. We don't make it through the whole stream, but it has been. Normally, we would die at like 9 o'clock. It's been going a little bit longer these days. By the way, the E-mini did make a higher pivot high, so I think that a lot of bulls are going to find that encouraging. So I guess let's just see how far the bulls can take it. It sounds like the words are being swallowed by a satanic robot sometimes. Well, maybe I am clipping too much. It could be, I can, let's just, oh, actually, I do have it pretty high. There, that'll probably be a little bit better. I'm probably clipping a little bit too much. My last video, I had the gain on the mic way too high. So it was clipping a lot. It was bad. So if I do that, no, we still get up to full. We're still using the full dynamic range mostly. Can you guys, is the volume okay on that? Maybe a kid came and moved a dial. Because that one was turned up almost all the way. Probably I need to get like a Go XLR. It's a little better now. Yeah. I probably need to get a Go XLR. That would have a little bit more gain and that would make it a little bit easier. I don't know. When I am listening through it in the headphones, it sounds fine. I could also have well, let's go look. I haven't messed with it in a while. What's my ratio? 3.5. Let's just do 3. 3. That'll be a little bit better. It might be harder to hear me in some cases, but I think we're probably fine. I mean, I guess it's way loud enough, right? I bet you that most of you guys don't have the volume on the YouTube up all the way. Because that would be loud. It's a little bit lighter of a day today. I guess we didn't have like a super clickbaity title. That's good now. So you just didn't like how compressed it was. It's been like that for a while. I don't know why. You're the first person to say anything. But you know what? It's fine. We can change it. I think that was good. I can't believe. So going back to this Jake Sherman, I can't believe that the White House offered a 4-month extension on the unemployment insurance and the Democrats rejected it. Are you kidding me? Like, there is no way. There's can't be blamed on anything other than that the Democrats. Lucy, we are not on the path to a deal on unemployment insurance. The market doesn't seem that freaked out by it, to be honest. When you lower your voice, the mic doesn't pick that up. I don't know. Yeah, so it's like so the interesting thing with a microphone like this one. Well, first of all, there's a very, very strong proximity effect, which means that when I'm really close to it, it's very loud and it's much deeper. Okay. But then, like, if I get further away from it, like, it's also a lot. It's like half as loud now, right? Your ears aren't very good at seeing differences in volume per se to say that that's half as loud, but in decibels, that's literally half as loud. So yeah, if my voice trails off or something like that, then yeah, it might be a little bit harder. But what the compressor does is it makes the differences between my softest and my loudest um, less, makes the voice more consistent. So that's kind of what makes it sound full. Now I could add EQ on top of that to make it more bassy, but I feel like that my voice is just fine without it. But there's other things, like a big part of it has to do with the gain and dynamic range that you get out of the mic to begin with, and the preamps that come with my Focusrite just aren't super well suited to it. So let's see where the market's open on Monday. Just put it natural. It's doing my head in. Oh, I don't have the text to speech on. I should turn that back on. Let's see where we're at on Sunday. Like if there's
Celine
like a
L
gap
says, do
down
you
on
watch your
Sunday.
own lives?
Yeah, I do. And it sounds okay to me. I mean, I'll admit that I tend to make it a little hot, but so I just want to make sure that you can definitely hear me. I'm always changing it. Always changing it. To get our setup to where it is today was like a slow process over 3 years. And there's so much more you can do with it, man. They get like all the cool window frame around your picture and all that. I don't think that we need that, but it's a thing. Getting the nice camera and the lights in the background and everything so that looked nice, that took a while to figure out. But I like it. So I like, if I come in here, I like being able to form it. Like, to me, the thing that's cool about live streaming and what I want my live stream to be about is creating a connection with the audience. These guys that are in here are here every day.
Salim L says, I couldn't hear the definitely, and you can definitely hear me. Just a heads up.
You couldn't hear the definitely? Anyways, you guys are here like literally every day. Uzi is here literally every day. Win is almost every day. JB, I haven't heard JB talk for a while, but I think that he's been lurking. He's always there. Vlad's kind of new. He's here every day. What else have we had? Price action, he's always around. Sunday Driver comes in every day, even though he doesn't even day trade, but he likes listening. I appreciate it. He's been I make a lot of fun of Sunday Driver because he is a very radically right wing, but I really enjoy having him around. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many people that have been around for such a long time. Anthony, he's been kind of comes in every once in a while from the beginning. Gave us a donation today. That's the connection that I think makes it. I don't want people to come in and treat this like I'm going to follow Seth's trades or I want to trade exactly the way that Seth trades. I want you to come up with your own thing, because how are you going to create edge by following what other people do. You can pick up stuff from it, but you're going to have to come up with your own stuff at some point. And I want to teach you how to come up with your own stuff, right? And in order to do that, we kind of have to have a little bit of back and forth, a little bit of going on the journey together and learning things together. And then you can see, okay, like we did, these are the sorts of things that help us discover new stuff. And these are the sorts of things that tend not to work, you know? Everybody else is just like, follow me. I'm going to try and make a video about that this weekend. We'll see how we do. It should be fun. Should be a fun video. They're just like, I will give you the stocks and tell you exactly how to trade it. That's not me.
Salim L says, oh, my God, that was way too loud.
That's just me talking. That's just me talking too loud. This is the other thing is, sometimes I'm really quiet. Sometimes I'm really loud. It should, compress that, but, what happens sometimes. I wouldn't worry. I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'll come back and watch it again tomorrow and see if I really need to make some adjustments to it or not. It's been a while. The microphone got moved a little bit. That kind of affects it too. I mean, that's how close I am to it. Wow, look at that move. Buy the dip.
Salim L says, I whiz you very best.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, we got about 10 minutes before we got to get going. Let's take another look around at everything. So, that's interesting. So one thing I want to point out here is that gold is very much recovering here. So they kind of moved up as the E-mini moved down. And now as the E-mini has been recovering, the gold has been recovering even more strongly. And the 6J has seemed to slow down. So that's probably a part of it. Oops. You can see here, this is when I was like, when we were at 34. Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. This is where I was saying like, I don't know if I can hold it much longer here. But I really could have gotten 10 points better than I did. You can see some of the long inventory coming off on that move up as well. So the buyers got the dip buy that they wanted. And the treasuries also coming back, taking a leg higher. So I think that what we experienced there was probably some really wild end of month rebalancing. And it's interesting. Market doesn't seem too concerned by what Congress is saying right now. Mm, I think Democrats are going to eat this. Of course, the media is always going to kind of try and play cover. And it really feels like people aren't really paying attention. But uh, the president is about to go on offense. Republicans are picking up on it. Democrats are going to eat this. And it is going to be Democrats intentionally let the unemployment insurance expire. It's going to hurt them. I think it's going to hurt them. It's going to be, somebody on my Facebook says it's going to be funny when 10 years from now, kneeling is considered the proper form of salute during the national anthem, and conservatives pretend it was their idea. That will never happen. I will never kneel. Let me tell you something. Two points on that. Why I think that some people are kind of like crazy on this, okay? Maybe this isn't related to trading, but it's politics. It can be relevant. If you're a Democrat, maybe listen, you might learn something and it might help improve your view of politics, right? There are two reasons why I will never kneel. Number one, I'm not going to protest during the national anthem. Number two, the entire premise of the United States has been that we kneel to no king. So to incorporate kneeling into any patriotic display of something is antithetical to American culture. The kneeling in and of itself is offensive to me. It will never happen. Then these guys will never. The Republicans that are against it, they will never do it. Mm-mm. Mhm.
PRT1 says the US Constitution is the only real constitution.
Okay, I'll buy it. Why do you say that? I don't see it that way. There's plenty of countries with constitutions. I don't think that theirs are as good, but there's plenty of countries with constitutions. There's even countries with checks and balances.
Salim L says politicians' eyes look like soulless reptiles. Except Trump's. PRT1 says in Canada you font have right to defend.
You don't? That's interesting. You don't have like there's not anything written into it for right to bear arms, basically. So what you're saying?
PRT1 says no. PRT1 says you may be charged.
You may be charged? I'll have to look into that. Second Amendment rights in Canada. Oh, I have so I posted on my Facebook that the Democrats let it die, and the Democrats are trying. You're in denial. You're in denial, hon.
PRT1 says no sec. Amend.
So there is going to be some serious bargaining here. Denial and bargaining about why Democrats aren't to blame for this. Wow.
PRT1 says now you can't say certain things because you will be charged, so no First Amendment.
Well, yeah, now that stuff in Europe in particular really bothers me. Really seriously bothers me. Okay, so we've come back. I think that a lot of that is you can consider it short covering, right?
Martin Holmstrom says how correlated are FESX and S. FESX was lagging a lot when S broke down hard. Finally followed, was surprised, don't usually follow it but thought it would follow S closer.
Yeah, so the indexes are generally pretty well correlated, but like yesterday, for instance, those European indexes were down big time, right? And the E-mini wasn't really at all. And the big reason was because everybody was people were overall negative, but they were anticipating good earnings from the bank stocks. So it was like you couldn't go short. That's why it was like wait until after they report and then go short, which is what I did. And yeah, um, I don't think that you want to look at it as like let me explain it this way to you, right? Um, you want to look at correlations, but don't look at correlations like I see this one is going up and mine is going up, so I'm going to take both of them. What I would look at it as okay, are they correlated or not right now, and why or why not? What you want to think about is where is the money coming from and where is it going to? So, generally speaking, money is moving more to Europe. The dollar is getting weaker, right? That means more money is going to Europe. But yesterday they were down in Europe. There's concerns of second wave in Europe. It's not affecting this dollar stuff, but there's concerns of a second wave in Europe, right? So we can kind of game out why certain things might be happening to try and get a better understanding of what the fundamental picture actually is, right? And that's why I really like to look at correlations, because it gives you a better idea of what fundamentals the market is really trading off of. Make sense? Mm, let's see. I just don't see anything. I don't see anything about it.
Martin Holmstrom says thanks.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, guys. It's a 9:30.
Salim L says how many ticks are you looking for?
I don't. So when I take a trade, I am usually have a specific idea of where I want it to go. Okay. And a lot of that is going to be based on implied volatility. So many of these institutional algorithms are based off of volatility, guys. So you really, really want to look at volatility. I have an indicator. I have a video about this where I explain how it works. But first start is that I'm going to look for them to go to my 50% VIX target, which in this case was 32.34, right? So I was looking for somewhere around 30, 40, right? And then what I do is based on what my profit is, I look at my risk. So if this was, what was it? I sold it at, I sold it way back here, right? So I'm looking for 72 to 34, right? So about 40 points. So I could potentially take 20 points on the upside. I actually only set my stop for 8 because I got some profit right away. But that's kind of how I ensure for myself a good risk reward is I think about my target first and then I adjust my reward accordingly. And so that means that the amount that I'm going to look for isn't really going to be consistent. Because think about it. Why should the market move if you have a trade and you think this trade should go 40 points, and maybe you base it on the VIX, okay? But well, uh, you use average true range, whatever it is. Why is it that it's going to go that far? Because it's tended to go that far in the past. There has to be something about that price that is going to draw the market to it, that is going to make people think that that's a fair price, right? In this case, one is the VIX because a lot of algorithms are based on the VIX. And two is, this was a big distribution from yesterday. So if we're going to retrace this thing right here, that's going to be a spot. So that was like the one that I knew was really likely to happen. And so that's why I took it like that, right? If you just come in and you say, well, I got this thing like when this moving average crosses here, and then I should be able to get 2 points off of it. You can do that, and it might work for periods of time, but you've got to realize that there's nothing fundamental about the market that's going to force it to do that, right? And we would much rather trade things where there are going to be fundamental forces that are going to push the markets in the direction that we want. At least that's the way that I take it. But an easier way to say that is I try and take trades off of fundamentals. Even though it's scalping, I still am trying to take trades off of fundamentals and news. And then I can use what I know about the fundamentals that drive the market to predict a good target. Okay. You got any more? Because I got to get going now. Go outside and paint my chicken coop before it gets too hot. And I think we're okay. I shorted ES Globex open. Yeah, I like the title. It was a good trade. I really like it. So I will see you guys on Monday. Really good week. I'm really excited right now. I will see you guys on Monday, and in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.